YouTube, what's good, YouTube? But said that the day we have 50 things you forgot existed in Fortnite. I'm about to see if I can remember everything. I'm gonna try to remember everything, you know. If I feel like that shit was not in the game, me just saying some bullshit, I'm gonna call it out, man. On the road to 3,000 with 20,000 scripts today, my teammate, let's get into it.
Double jump was an old feature in Fortnite removed after
Cap.
only 2 months. Kind of forgot it even existed. I mean, who remembers spawning a pirate ship?
Hold on. When he hold on.
Double jump was an old feature in.
See, look, when he double jump here, it's like season 2. Yeah, it has to be season 2 or after because of the Black Knight back button. Yeah, I know my shit. So this nigga is, this nigga's capping, bro. I don't ever remember double jump.
Fortnite removed after only 2 months. Kind of forgot it even existed. I mean, who remembers spawning a pirate ship? 50 things in Fortnite that you forgot. I'm not great at quizzes, but crafting alien guns, now that I remember. The nanites were fun to throw down and create an anti-gravity field, but they did have a secret ability. By opening the crafting menu, you can merge a nanite with a regular weapon and turning it into an alien gun. Yeah, you can turn an SMG into a ray gun, or if you had a sniper, you would get yourself a railgun. Chapter 2 had an insane amount of forgotten content. The Spy Games LTM might ring a bell, but a ton of people don't realize it had exclusive content. If you had a sniper, you would get yourself a railgun. Chapter 2 had an insane amount of forgotten content. The Spy Games LTM might ring a bell, but a ton of people don't realize it had exclusive perks. After choosing loadouts, you would get a different piece of tech, whether it was the ability to double jump or running faster with your pickaxe out. One of them even forced you to dance after getting a kill. Now, only hardcore veterans will remember the OG Christmas supply drops. These are over 6 years old and were basically just reskinned into a present. Except Fortnite messed up letting us hide inside of them, with creators like Muso
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Wins from this.
Hey, bro!
You can't do that no more.
Now, you definitely won't remember the bunker chests. These randomly appeared in the middle of the primal season, and it had week 7 written on top. Nobody knew what this meant or why they were here, but for some reason, they gave insane loot, guaranteeing you an epic or legendary item.
Nigga,
one of the
what?
strangest items could only be found if you were abducted. This was the alien gun, and was supposed to be exclusive to the mothership until a glitch let you respawn with it using this to troll
When can you get abducted?
It had 0 damage, but let's be honest, blasting people off their builds is dangerous enough.
He might try to box me, honestly. I almost knocked him out. I think I'm on my way.
This must be when I clocked out of Fortnite.
Speaking of knockback, the Shockwave LTM went totally
Which I am now.
They basically made Smash Bros in Fortnite. Instead of a health bar, you would have a percentage, and every time you were hit, it would go up. The higher percentage you have, the further you'd fly into the storm. It was this insanely cool mode that no one ever talks about anymore.
I forgot about
but
that.
I do remember the most useless chest in Fortnite
I forgot about that
These
mode, dude.
chests
That shit dropped
crystal
one time.
look cool at first, until you realize you needed
That's
to
why
take
people don't
turns
talk
hitting
about
them.
it.
Your entire squad had to be here, making them more of an inconvenience than
Oh,
anything,
yeah, I remember
and
this
it
too.
wasn't even worth the loot. Now, if you've been playing from the very beginning, you'll probably recall that heals were very different. And sure, now they've been redesigned, but back then they were gray. Yeah, there was a point where medkits and shield pots had the same rarity as bandages. An actual rare item was hiding inside a cabin at Weeping Woods. We had no idea why, but you could destroy a painting and it would give you a gold coin. There was no use for this at all. It was a total accident, and yet anyone who found this could brag about it forever. One of the most underrated secrets was an exclusive Star Wars item that could only be found in an LTM. During Mando's Bounty, this was Fortnite's updated version of the John Wick mode from Chapter 1. Except this time around, they
I forgot about that John Wick mode.
Which displayed your targets and how much they were worth.
Like, what? They never bring that back.
I totally forgot about this. Now, throughout the years, we've had a lot of portable items, from the Porta Fort to the Porta Bunker, but no one talks about a forgotten version, the Porta Challenge. This could only be used in the playground mode. You would find a ton of vending machines offering different versions, and once you threw them down, they'd
Nobody cares about that, bro.
Whether it was an obstacle course, a firing range, or a building challenge, this was a fun way to mess around before creative mode ever existed. I also wish I knew about the boogie boat. During the flood season, everything was underwater.
I think I might have did that one time.
I was floating on the surface. You'd find a nightclub in the middle, letting you bust moves on the dance floor, along with sunbeds and plenty of loot. Well, this was a fun spot to chill out and mess around with friends. Most people don't know about it because this vanished after a couple weeks. And I can't believe how Fortnite used to punish us for jumping off roofs. Even the smallest distance would give you fall damage back in the day. Literally walking down a tiny cliff would hurt. It was ridiculous. I'm not surprised Epic quickly changed this, but it also means most people forgot about it. We will always remember risky reels. So
I remember that clip by
Dacon. Come back. I mean, Yak gets destroyed a ton, and one time it was flattened by the block, fully wiping it out. Most players know this story,
The
but what they
block.
don't know is that Risky wasn't fully gone. Hiding in the jungle, fans could visit a tiny POI that was a makeshift tribute, kind of like a home
block,
cinema.
bro.
Some facts about OG Fortnite make you question.
Y'all niggas don't know about the vlog, bro. That shit, bro. They had niggas competing to whose map was gonna be in the game.
Reality though. Turns out the storm never existed on the mini-map in the early days. You're probably thinking back like, no, it definitely did, but this must be some kind of Mandela effect. It was actually just a blue circle, so no wonder it crept up on us so easily. Odds are you will know about the most annoying feature in Chapter 1. You'd hear a chest in the distance and break walls to find it, only to realize you can't hear it anymore. Turns out we would break the floor under the chest, deleting it from the map. It was insanely annoying, causing players to beg Epic for a fix, and nowadays it pops open the chest. We definitely take this for granted,
back
knowing
in
what
the
it
day.
used to be like.
Yeah,
You also
I already
probably
know.
about Tuna Fish. He was a popular outfit during
Back
Chapter
in the
2,
day, that
and let
shit
you
used to be
customize
gone.
fish stick with all kinds of designs. The reason I'm bringing him up is because of a lesser known feature, rainbowing. Looking back, most of us just assumed we did challenges to get more styles, but we actually needed to find physical ink. You had to open as many chests as possible, and as you collected
What?
this ink, you could spend it on the styles you wanted, but only if you completed a
Yeah,
challenge
I wasn't
or
playing
collected a
Fortnite
color
then.
bottle. These are so complicated, it was easy to forget them. Although I wish we still had this feature from Chapter 1. Back in the day, when you landed with momentum, you could spam the jump button and keep bouncing.
Yeah,
Let
I
your buddy
remember-
hop
yeah, I
around the
remember
map as
niggas
long as you
doing that.
wanted. It was probably the most fun way to get around we have ever had, but sadly, they nerfed this in a hidden update.
Yeah, they
Another way to
lame.
choose the
Like,
game was
niggas,
hiding
bro, if it's
inside a
fun,
rare
let niggas
LTM.
do it.
In 2018, you could play Love
The
Shot to
fuck?
celebrate Valentine's Day, giving you low gravity, boogie bombs, and a new item, Cupid's crossbow. This was an exclusive redesign of the crossbow, but the rules of this LTM meant that skybasing guaranteed a win. As Valentine's Day passed, this LTM was removed and never came back. Cupid's crossbow has made appearances over the years, but no one remembers that it belonged to this long-lost mode. And we probably learned about it from the old news feed. In modern-day Fortnite, you can expect to see a full-screen message of the day that is impossible to ignore. For more details, we have to search up the patch notes online, and even then, they don't mention
I don't
who
give
told
a
us
fuck
about the
about
secret
that.
Halloween pretzel. For a couple of Fortnitemares events, we could find candy around the map. But most
Do they
people
still do
remember the
Fortnitemares?
pop drops, jelly beans, you name it. One that was harder to find was the 0-point pretzel. This would let you dash around the map, teleporting with the power of candy, but it hasn't returned since 2021. Once again, most of
Damn.
us know about the old Ghost and Shadow henchmen. You can shake them down for info, or use a phone booth to disguise as them. What players don't remember are the exclusive chests with great loot. By carrying a henchman over your
Fortnite
shoulder,
been out
you
so long,
unlock
I don't even know
by
if I
holding
was
the
playing in
forward guy
2021.
right
Was
up to
I?
the scanner. Now, a lot of the things on this list have been forgotten over time, but some of them were as recent as Chapter 5. They were just too hidden for anyone to notice. Medallions originally had a 3D icon in your inventory. It looked super unique and stood out, but after just 2 weeks, Fortnite changed this. Now they're all flat 2D images. I won't lie, they definitely look cleaner and easier to see now, but the 3D angle, it was pretty cool. Let's take it back to Chapter 2.
I remember
where they
that.
designed a melee weapon
I
with
played a
entire
little bit
stats,
during
a
that.
full moveset, and inventory slot. There's only one catch though, it was unobtainable. This is the Predator Claw, a legendary item that no one knew about because, well, the Predator was the only one who could use it. He never dropped the item, it wasn't in the loot pool, and they straight up designed this just for an NPC. Which reminds me of another exclusive that could only be found during a concert. The Kid Leroy's music experience wasn't a full live event, they designed this in creative mode so no one remembers the custom weapon we used. Near the end of the concert, we had to fight off a huge wolf, and our tool for this battle, a Sunburst Gauntlet. Speaking of unique items, during
hell?
Chapter 3, there was a special consumable that only existed for the
Any
summer
event I went
They
to,
decided
they never
cool
let
us
us
all
do
down
shit
with some
like
ice
that.
cream, and there was a lot to choose from, whether it was frozen, spicy, guzzling, or my personal favorite, Lil Whip Special Serve. You can find these from coolers and get unique abilities. Lil Whip is
I think I
sold
went
from
to- I
the
did the
man
Travis
himself, and it
Scott
was literally an
and
instant
Marshmello
chug jug.
concert.
Totally should have kept this in the game. From limited time items to limited time
forgot.
modes,
I think
there
that-
are
I think
a few
that's
over the
it.
years that no one remembers because they were pickaxe themed. As you can probably guess from the name, Pickaxe Frenzy was
I
a
did that-
regular
I
game
did
of
some
Battle
other
Royale,
events.
but with no guns.
The
You could
OG
only
one.
hit each other with harvesting tools and rusty cans. Sure, you could get around with mobility items, but it was super unique and players loved it. The same goes for the Tag LTM. I mean, odds are you played Tag in real life, so you get the rules. This time it was playable in Fortnite, letting you tag players with pickaxes, escape enemies with impulses, and mess around with friends for
they need
only
that
a
back.
couple days. I mean, that sucks. Forgotten modes are one thing, but it's easy to
remember
lose
that
track
mode,
of all
though.
the exotics in Fortnite. I mean, we've had a lot of them over the years, and chances are you don't remember the Nighthawk. It's only appeared for a couple of seasons, and at first glance, it's really
I did
similar
forget
to the
about a
story
lot
ball,
of this shit though. I
except
forgot.
has a
This is
clean matte black
refreshing.
design in a thermal scope. It wasn't forgettable just because no one used it. It was also really hard to find, only available to buy from
Let
the
know
main
how
King
great this
NPC.
game was.
There was also the Big Chill, an item that looks like a snowball launcher but fired chiller grenades instead. So yeah, you can deal knockback and cause icy feet, which sounds cool, yet it was so much worse than a regular snowball launcher. This was an exotic weapon that dealt 0 damage, with barely anyone spending their gold on this. I wonder why. Instead, they would use items like the Storm Scout sniper rifle, probably one of the most underrated snipers we have ever had.
I remember that.
While aiming down the sights, it would reveal the next storm circle. There was even an exotic version of this in Chapter 2, and yet only YouTubers talk about it. Just like how they forgot about the burst pulse rifle. And yeah, on the surface, you're like, I remember this. They were everywhere in the Alien season. But that was the normal pulse rifle. This version was an exotic that could only be found from the Chimera NPC or a malfunctioning vending
I picked it up, looked at the storm, and then picked my boat back up.
Being hidden behind an NPC's paywall, no one even realized. Honestly, it's even harder to notice that fish are gone. There have been tons of consumables in the water that players don't remember. Most of them look weird, like the stink flopper that was based on the ugliest creature in the ocean, the blobfish. We also had hop floppers that gave us an anti-gravity effect, and
The
shadow
fuck is a
ones turning
blobfish?
us
That
into
shit
a
not
ghost.
real.
A lot of people prefer the 0-point fish, letting us blink around, or
Blobfish
even
not
the
fucking
rift
real,
version
nigga.
that gave an instant rotation. Epic's really gotta
That
bring some of these back.
rift
Catching anything from the water right now, it's just boring. We already talked about alien nanites, but an earlier version of
The
these
hell
were
is
nuts
that?
and bolts. After the primal season, you could open up
I remember that.
toolboxes and get a lot of them. These
I didn't
were
know
the
what it
new
did,
way to
though.
craft things, but in reality, all they would do is side grade your weapon. They let you swap out attack into a lever, or your heavy AR to a burst, which basically felt like a downgrade. And no one ever used this feature as a result, and it was doomed to obscurity. Just like the Hunter's Cloak, an item that tried to be unique and ended up being useless. With meat and bones, you could craft this, and it would make all wildlife ignore you. Two major problems though. Firstly, you
What?
could just
I
ignore
didn't know
them and
that.
basically get the same effect, and secondly, it took up an inventory slot, the ultimate downfall of this item. Now, some features just don't belong in Battle Royale, like the Propifier. This was one of those items from Invasion that went super under the radar. Players were distracted by railguns, inflatables, recon scanners. The prop gun wasn't added until the final weeks of the season,
What?
and even then, it
When
only
did they
let you
do
choose from
that?
a small range of items to disguise as. This group of props, well, let's just say it was the most obvious ways to hide, and
When
every
did they
so
do
often, the
that?
character would glitch, showing everyone else where you were. And at least we got to use it though, unlike the annual pass. This was a prototype subscription service that would have given us every battle pass in a year, along with exclusive outfits, Astra, Bash, and an unreleased character, Brilliant Bomber. When this was leaked, players went crazy for it, even hacking into their accounts. To this day, only a handful of people have seen this outfit, and she has been forgotten for years, except recently when a Lego style was spotted in the files. Maybe she'll finally release soon. Probably not. But we are happy to know the old inventory is gone. If you played Fortnite in its true infancy, you'll know about those clunky menus and how hard it was to look at your items. But no one talks about the biggest issue, the old weapon stats screen. When you looked at a gun, it would dump every piece of info at you, even things that weren't in the game like durability. Now look, Epic, you don't have to tell us that a great pistol has 0% critical hit. We know. A change that totally went over our heads includes the thermal scoped AR. You know how the gun looks like this? Well, if I showed you what it looked like in Chapter 1, it's really subtle. Most people never realized it was changed until you put them side by side. You can totally see it now. In fact, the scoped AR was one of the many items we could summon at the end of Chapter 2.
I wasn't a
all
big
thanks
fan.
to
I
JBG
used it for a
Fan's
little
funding
bit.
stations.
I had my
You
phase.
might remember these as we used them to unlock
But
new weapons every week.
the-
But there were hidden features that
The
everyone
Prime Combat Shotgun is one of the best shotguns in the game.
forgot about. It let us spawn in mounted turrets, shockwave
Like the
launchers,
first one they ever
even a
dropped.
remake of the Brutes.
Fuck
For a
that.
real
Fuck
explosion,
that
we could
robot.
enjoy the propane tanks in the spy season. Because gas cans were all over the map, no one ever picked these up or noticed them, but they were a good alternative. You could throw them around, destroy builds, or even start fires. Well,
I ain't
recently,
using
we had an
those.
item that not many remember, even though it was around less than a year ago. At the end of Chapter 4, we had the Tactical DMR. Normally, this would be memorable, but it was during a season where DMRs were a dime a dozen. You can find all kinds of
I ain't play
regular
like that on
DMRs,
that.
Cobras, thermals, it was ridiculous.
I ain't like them guns.
And the tactical version ironically missed the mark. So when I was looking back at the many years of Fortnite, I saw footage of crows from Chapter 2, and it kind of blew my mind. I had totally forgot these were a thing. You can see them from miles away. These birds would usually glow a rare color and drop that loot if you eliminated them. There was even the almighty legendary crow. If you play a lot of creative, you'll know they have exclusive swords and melee items that are actually customizable. But back in Chapter 2, these were still in the works.
I remember
and
them
Fortnite
crows.
accidentally released an early version of this sword into the files. Thanks to glitches involving vending machines, people
That was
could get
annoying
the
to catch
creative
sometime.
sword, and it worked exactly like an infinity blade for some reason. It was also huge and bulky, but with how rare this was and the fact it was exclusive to creative, only hardcore players will know about it. And even less people get to own Indigo Kuno. This was an exclusive version of the Kuno outfit that could only be unlocked in a PlayStation Cup. You had to earn this on a PS4, PS5, and only 6,000 players were given the skin. Barely anyone knew about it for a while, but anyone who gets told about the Indigo Kuno immediately wants it for how rare this is. We have completed 50
facts.
things you
I
forgot
want it,
existed
and I don't
in
even play the
Fortnite.
game.
How many do you remember? So Tommy, and keep it here on top.
Let me know if y'all remember any of it. I remember a lot of them, man. It was something I don't know. It was questionable. That first one was very questionable. Let me know what you think about that down below on the road to 20,000 on Instagram. CDottyYT, man. I'm out this bitch.